Greetings, guys. This is Mr. J, and this is another episode of Fanboy JunKtion. That's right, you might notice that the surroundings here are a little different. Well, I'm on vacation this week, so we're doing it from the casa. Anyway, a couple things I want to cover. The main thing we're going to be doing today is I'm going to be casting the Drizzt Do'Urden film. No, I'm not making it. A friend of mine named Chris Benthal asked me to do it, so I'm going to do it. But we have a couple things that have come up that I'd like to discuss first. Number one is that, yes, the new Guardians of the Galaxy trailer has hit, and it is amazing. Keeping with the tone of the first one, lots of humor. Looks fun. We get to see Rocket Raccoon actually talk, grab his crotch, which was kind of weird. But all in all, it looks like it's going to be amazing. I think it's got enough of a sci-fi feel that you're going to get science fiction fans, not only that, but the comic book fans. I think it's going to work. I think Chris Pratt's got a good enough following that people will come to it. It'll just really be interesting to see what happens. So far, Godzilla hasn't beaten Captain America 2. Amazing Spider-Man 2 didn't beat Captain America 2 as far as opening weekend. I'm sure X-Men 8, whatever number 7 it is right now, I'm pretty sure it'll beat Captain America 2 in opening. I mean, it's a summer movie. It's got, a little bit more of a following given how many films have been there, but that'll be curious. That's what I'm really wondering is how it's going to do. I'd like to think it's going to do really well since it's coming out and people are wanting to see it, but a lot of people have not liked the more recent flicks. So, again, I predict it'll do over 100 million, which means it'll beat Captain America 2. But that remains to be seen. The other big announcement that I think happened earlier, well, I don't want to say today because it's probably come out tomorrow, but came out on Wednesday, is that the Batman vs. Superman, Man of Steel 2, whatever you guys were referring to as before, it has officially been titled Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. Do I like it? It's not bad. I mean, I would have liked World Finest, but nobody would have had any idea what it was. Just calling it Man of Steel 2, The Dark Knight Rises, or Dark Knight Returns might have been too much. Batman vs. Superman, at least they're going to be calling him Superman this time. Dawn of Justice, I just kind of feel like, so basically it's a prequel to Justice League. It's not really its own movie. A little disappointed, but again, haven't seen a trailer, haven't seen anything, so maybe it'll be good. I hope it is because I'd like to see more DC movies. More DC movies means more Marvel movies. More Marvel DC movies means we can get movies that are from the obscure independent films. I gotta say, Invincible movie I want to see. I'm not even gonna lie, weird comic, but Youngblood, love to see that on the big screen. Anyway, so I think that is all as far as covering some of the random things that have come that I wanted to talk about. I can get into a long thing on toys, but maybe I'll do that later. Not a different episode. I have decided that this whole casting a movie thing has kind of become kind of fun. So I think that going forward, I'm going to do more of these. So if you have something you'd like to see me cast, similar to Chris did, he's like Drizzt Do'Urden. If you have something you want to see me cast, comment below, and I'll pick from that, and I'll say, okay, this is my idea, and this is how I would cast it. So, without further ado, we're going to talk about Drizzt Do'Urden. Now, some of you may have no idea who Drizzt Do'Urden is, which is fine. He is a Forgotten Realms character, which is Forgotten Realms is a part of the Dungeons & Dragons line of books. He was introduced, I believe, back in 91? 90? I know I became aware of him probably 91, 92. Anyway, so in Dungeons & Dragons, there is a race of elves called the Dark Elves. For a long time, they were just allegedly mythical, but they then began showing up in the games. But they're usually evil. The big thing with Drizzt Do'Urden is he is not evil. He's actually a good guy. So he kind of is against stereotype character. He was a ranger, so he used 2 weapons. He was a fighting, genius, scimitars. He was just an awesome character, and he has been featured in, I think now it's over 20 books. The first 9 books, the Icewind Dale trilogy, the Dark Elf trilogy, and Legacy of the Drow are the ones I've kind of said this is what it would be, this is what but maybe the movies would be about, and that's kind of where I went with my casting decisions. With that in mind, storyline wise, if they did movies, I think that you could do the entire Dark Elf trilogy as one story or one movie, because for those of you who've read the books, in my opinion, there's a trilogy. Homeland tells about him being born and what happened in the city he was born in, how he left. The second book, or the middle book, is about his time in the Underdark, which is kind of like the realm under the surface. And then the third book is when he comes to the surface and finally, finds his place in Icewind Dale. But honestly, the second book, nothing there really, I don't want to say of importance, but nothing that continues on to the later books or later storylines really happens in that book. Some of the elements could be moved to different storylines. So I would say, and even with the first book, you could like they did with Lord of the Rings. They streamline all of the storylines. So tell his origin, how he gets out of the city, then he goes to the surface. You got a 2-hour movie, whatever. Icewind Dale trilogy. You could probably make 2 movies out of those 3 books by getting rid of the fluff. And then the third movie would be the Legacy of the Drow, which again, you could streamline into one storyline to get the point across. Anyway, he's got a lot of different characters in the books, in the stories. The characters I have picked are various characters from these 9 novels. Characters that I feel are very important to Drizzt and his journey, that I would kind of say would be... most of them were in more than one book. So if you're wondering if I cast the ranger that he meets, I maybe should have, but I didn't. So get over it. I'm just casting some of the main characters. So, with that in mind, who would I cast in this movie? The big deal when I started thinking about this is that the Drow are essentially elves. So lean, chiseled features, kind of people is who I would imagine we need to cast in these roles. I also got away from the idea that they're called dark elves, but that doesn't necessarily mean black. So what I was thinking about was Alan Cumming as Nightcrawler. That's kind of how I imagine they would translate the Drow, is, giving them that kind of purple hue that he had in that movie. Contacts or eyes, wig for the hair because they were dark skinned but white hair. So with that in mind, I did not stick with only black actors for the characters. I kind of thought, okay, who are good actors that I know of, that I like their performance, I think they could do this. Again, let's not do the fight training thing. Anybody can be anyone, so it doesn't matter who you cast. Give them 6 months, you can train to be a master swordsman. So, with that in mind, Drizzt Do'Urden, the main character of the movie, I would cast Matt Bomer. He is the lead character in White Collar. He's also had appearances on Magic Mike. He's been in. Had a brief role in Time, that movie, just Timberlake. That was kind of. Anyway, his voice kind of has a different sound to it, and that's part of why I liked him. As I always thought he should be Superman. I thought the different voice, the chiseled looks, the eyes, the hair, he could be Superman. But thinking about this movie, thinking about somebody who could lead a film, who could do the different emotions in that show, he's definitely proved he can. So yes, Drizzt Do'Urden, I would say, is Matt Bomer. Again, the makeup and everything to make him look the way he needs to do. I put these characters in a list for myself, not necessarily the main characters. I mean, you know what? I'll stick with the main core group. Drizzt, Brunner, Wolfgar, Canterbury, and Regis. Canterbury, who it's kind of gross in my opinion, is a little girl, maybe mid-teens when he meets her, and then grows up, and after several years he eventually ends up with her, but whatever. Canterbury, I would cast Molly Quinn. She plays the daughter of Castle in the Castle TV show. I think she's, definitely got a different kind of look. She's got the auburn hair. You could definitely give her more of the curly locks. And she does can play younger, and you can make her look older as this series goes on, whether it's a TV show or movies, whatever. I think she would be good as Canterbury. Bruno Battlehammer, who is a dwarf, and of course, like what they did with Seven, the Snow White and the Huntsman, you can always shrink people down. They did it with Gimli. I think Jeff Bridges would make an excellent Bruner. He's definitely got the acting chops. He showed that he can be a gruff character with True Grit and Wild Bill. That really crappy R.I.P.D. or whatever. Oh, it was so bad. But I mean, he can definitely pull it off. I would love to see him in that. The barbarian character of Wolfgar, I would say Kellen Lutz. He's a newer actor. He hasn't been in much. He was in the Twilight movies, but he's got the build, the physique, the blonde hair. He's got some acting ability. I would put him in the role of that. And then Regis, the little halfling thief who kind of has a ring and more jolly and fun. I don't know why it popped in my head, but Paul Rudd. I thought Paul Rudd would make a great Regis. He doesn't really fight. He just kind of hangs out and has fun. And I think Paul Rudd would be great as that. Another key character is Artemis Entreri. Artemis Entreri is Drizzt Do'Urden's main nemesis. He's supposed to be just as much of a badass as Drizzt, but he's evil instead of good. So they're kind of polar opposites. He's described as being kind of lean, very cold, and in my mind, even though his hair doesn't match, I would say Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig, I mean, he definitely has a physique, he definitely has the physicality, but he just has that coldness to him that I think Artemis Entreri would have to have. And you could just dye his hair black. I mean, that's not a big deal. But I think he would make an excellent foil to Matt Bomer as Drizzt, to have Daniel Craig as Entreri. Just completely different looking guys, and watching them go head to head would be good. There are some other drow that appear in the main storyline for Drizzt's origin that kind of come back here and there later. I'm only going to do 4 of them because otherwise you just sit here all day going through different characters. The main one, my favorite character of the whole series, is Drizzt's father, Zaknafin. He is supposed to be the best warrior ever until Drizzt shows up. And he, of course, is a drow. And I think that, honestly, Michael Ealy would be perfect as Zaknafin. He's got, like I said, the look. He's got different kind of eyes. But there's something about him that just kind of has an age beyond the way he looks. He was in the recent show Almost Human that unfortunately got canceled. But he was also in Sleeper Cell. He's been in a couple other movies. But I think he would be really good as Zaknafin. The other character who was a drow, it's kind of weird. He's Zaknafin's other child is Drizzt's sister, Vienna Do'Urden. And I think that Olivia Wilde would make a really good Vienna because Olivia Wilde does have kind of a different look to her. She's got some excellent acting chops. And the thing with Vienna is that she's evil but still has an affinity for Drizzt. Even up until the end when he has to have his final confrontation with her, she does have that moment of, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. So I would say her. Throwaway characters, I shouldn't say that, but not as important. Matron Malice, who was the head of the House Do'Urden until it got destroyed. Kerry Washington, I think she has a good commanding presence. If you watch Scandal, she definitely is able to order people around you by her being the leader of this group. So I think she would make an excellent Matron Malice or head of the Do'Urden family. And then another character that kind of is there more often than not is Didden, which is Drizzt's older brother, and I would have James Marsden, the guy who played Cyclops in the X-Men movies. I've seen him in a couple other films. He's always really good. He's definitely kind of have the high cheekbones, the chiseled look that an elf would have. And I think that he would be good as Didden. So, that is what I would do if I was to cast the Drizzt Do'Urden series or the Dark Elf series, whatever, the Dark Elf movies, however they wanted the title. Chris, I hope that helps you. I hope you like it. If you don't, comment below. If other people, you think it's good, bad, whatever, you want to cry about, I should have cast something about black people to be black elves, whatever, comment below. Let me know what else you think. If you come up with another character you want to see me do, let me know and we'll do it. Thank you very much for watching, and have a nice day, guys. See you.